Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to be heard as if in morning business for 15 minutes.
Without objection.
Mr. President, I'm speaking for two almost unrelated reasons right now on two different subjects, but it's very important. I think, first of all, when you look at what is happening with ISIS, we've gone through all kinds of terrorist activities. We all know that we're in a crisis right now, and I'm inclined to agree, and I don't always agree with Secretary Hagel, but the other day when he said that the ISIS is an imminent threat to every interest we have, whether it's in Iraq or anywhere else. This is a big deal, Mr. President. As America sat back and looked and observed and saw the beheading of two Americans, that's a lot of us would say that's an act of war. This is something that is really big, and I've just found out recently that as of yesterday, and it'll be announced in the next 2 days, that there's a poll that has been conducted that says if you take all the problems that are out there that people have been talking about for a long period of time, including the border and all the other issues, that nothing is even close to ISIS. I think it was very interesting that just on August the 28th, just a few days ago, the president made the statement, we don't have a strategy yet to deal with ISIS in Syria. Well, if there's not a strategy now, there has to be a strategy. And I'm introducing an AUMF resolution for action against ISIS. Now, an AUM is authorization of the use of military force. This is something that perhaps the president has anyway. We don't know that. But we have got to take away the doubt that's out there. Something has to be done. I know the president's going to make a speech I guess it's on Wednesday, and he may come out with a specific strategy. If he doesn't, he's had all the time in the world that he needs to do it, and he hasn't done it. My AUMF is specific to ISIS. Now, there are other AUMFs dealing with al-Qaeda and with other things, but to me, that just confuses the issue. This has now become the #1 issue in America, and there is no tolerance to continue doing nothing as we have been doing, that we need to make sure that the president has the authority, and this requires the president to, within 15 days, and then with 90-day updates, to submit to Congress in writing a comprehensive strategy to defeat the global threat posed by ISIS. Now, keep in mind, it seems as if this president is inclined, every time there's a problem out there, let's drop a bomb here, let's do something over here. That's not a strategy. I stated this a year ago, this same day, that the president can't continue to operate without a clear-cut strategy. So the congressional authorization for the president is to use all necessary and appropriate force to protect Americans and defend national security of the United States against the threat posed by ISIS and any successor terrorist organizations. It allows the president to use all tools available and necessary to defeat ISIS with flexibility to adjust efforts as the terrorist organization evolves. And so this is not just limited to any boundaries. As you know, there are no boundaries with ISIS. It's not just Syria. It's not just Iraq. This is something that is spread all over. It's huge, and it is a threat that we have not seen anything like in our country before. So I'm going to be asking my good friends, I've already talked to several friends on the Democrat side and the Republican side to join in this, and I think that hopefully we'll be able to do it. It's estimated that 12,000 foreign fighters have joined ISIS, and about 2,500 of which hold Western passports, give them easy access. Now, what's going to happen as they come back? They would be trained terrorists. And so, anyway, I think that's a major issue that I just wanted to at least announce. I've already introduced this resolution. It's out there right now, and we're going to be asking for support. Now, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about, and I've talked to our leader, Chairman Levin of the Armed Services Committee. There are several members on the floor right now of the Armed Services Committee, including the chair. And I think what we want to avoid is what happened last year. Last year, we didn't pass an NDAA. Keep in mind, we passed an NDAA every year for 52 years. In my perhaps narrow view, I think it's the most significant bill that we address every year. Now, we have this year's NDAA that we passed on May 22nd. It passed our committee 25-1. So it's got the overwhelming support of Democrats and Republicans right now to go ahead and have an NDAA bill. Now, Chairman Levin and I have come to the floor and begged our colleagues to send down amendments that they want. We have several amendments now, a couple hundred amendments. We are looking at those over. We're going to try to see what can go into a manager's amendment, and then we could maybe come up with something. I'm hoping we could do it before the election, to come up with a bill that will consider the amendments. If we were able to say to the Democrats and Republicans in this floor that we would restrict it to X number of amendments, 3, 4, 5, 6 amendments on each side, then I believe our leader would allow this to come to the floor so we could have an NDAA votes. I have the number here. It's 140 amendments have already been filed. The staff has been working over the August recess to put together a manager's package that's going to consider varieties of all of these 140 amendments, but we need more. What I don't want to happen is that the last minute everyone comes up and says, well, wait a minute. No, I want to have I've got 25 amendments. I want to have them. Now's the time to do it. We've got thousands of men and women serving today in harm's way, risking their lives for us, for our nation. And they're dealing with the most complex and volatile global security environments I've ever seen in my life. And we rely on them to do their job to keep our nation safe, and they should rely on us to do the same thing. Well, let's remember what happened last year. Last year we didn't do it, and we came up toward the year end. And it wasn't until we decided that we were not going to be able to do it the legitimate way that we've been doing it for 52 years. And so we had the big four. I happened to be the ranking member of the minority, and of course, Chairman Levin. And then, of course, we had the two on the House side. The big four got together in a room, took all of the amendments that had been considered, weeded through them, satisfied most of the people, and in 3 hours, we designed a bill, brought it out to the floor, and passed it on the 26th of December. Now, if we'd gone beyond that, if we'd gone to the December 31st, we would have kids out there risking their lives without hazard pay, without reenlistment bonuses. You know, it costs some $15 million to train a fighter in the air to the standards of an F-22. A reenlistment bonus would be about $200,000. So the economics are there. It's something that if we had gone beyond that point, it would have been an absolute disaster. So I'm pleading with you and with all of my members, our members on the Republican side and the Democrat side, to do what's necessary to bring their amendments down to the floor. The President recently submitted an OCO request for $59 billion to fund operations in Afghanistan and around the world. The request includes a new $4 billion counterterrorism partnership fund and a $1 billion for the European Reassurance Fund. Many questions remain about these new funds. I have questions about it. I haven't talked to one member of our Senate Armed Services Committee who really knows the details of this request. We're the ones that should be doing this. These are things that we can do in the NDAA, and I'm going to ask and plead with our fellow members on the Democrat and Republican side to get your amendments in, and let's go ahead and let us take some amendments, two or a number of amendments on each side, so that we can have a bill and do it the way it should be done. The only alternative is to do what we did last year, and that doesn't include anyone except 4 people in the House and the Senate. With that, I'll yield the floor and suggest the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will